Okay. All right, good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock. I will call the City Plan Commission meeting to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Call the roll. Alder Mitchell. Here. Kim. Jerry. Here. Marilyn.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
All right. The gang's all here. Well, except for Dave. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Minutes are approved. All right, first one, application for conditional use permit with exceptions by General Capital Group to construct the Berkshire Sheboygan Riverfront apartment and townhomes at the northeast corner of South 10th Street and Indiana intersection. Steve, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Mayor. We have Sig Strout-Maunis from General Capital Group as well as a couple of representatives, and I'm assuming there are several neighbors on at this meeting this evening as well who are interested in the project and having the ability to speak today as well. So basically what we're taking a look at is the former Kepsel property, and General Capital is looking to construct the Berkshire Sheboygan Riverfront apartments and townhomes at the northeast corner of South 10th Street and Indiana Avenue intersection. The project will be approximately $30.2 million and redevelopment on redevelopment authority-owned property, and it'll consist of 83 units of independent senior building and 18 townhomes in a separate building facing Indiana Avenue. Their intention is to close on the project in May and June of 2023, and construction would take approximately 12 to 14 months after that. The parcel was formerly an industrial and commercial use on the northern portion of the property, so that was the former J.J. Kepsel facility, and mixed uses that were previously along Indiana Avenue that were purchased and then raised. Basically, the site is kind of a complex situation. There is quite a bit of contamination on the site, and there is a DNR remedial action plan to clean up and cap any residual contamination on the property. And then there are also both utilities that run overhead east and west through the site, approximately about the red dashed line that you see on the site plan, as well as buried utilities that continue to run through the vacated Commerce Avenue. So some water lines and underground utilities in that area. General Capital chose this site for their projects because it's located in the middle of an existing thriving neighborhood with dense residential housing and local businesses that surround it. Their use is an ideal for the constraints presented at the site. A large building can be tucked in behind the Main Street style. So you have the townhomes along the Indiana Avenue at a similar height and scale as the businesses and homes along Indiana Avenue. And then you have the larger portion of the 5-story apartment building in the rear. In addition, their live-work units would provide a unique opportunity along Indiana Avenue. These would be 3-bedroom townhomes, but as you can see on the frontage, there would be the ability for someone who has a business that they could potentially operate a home occupation, which would give the user either an apartment or a home office. So there is some uniqueness to adding that commercial aspect of that live-work environment along Indiana Avenue, which is presently there. And finally, there would also be a commercial tenant located in this section of the apartment buildings. It's a Family Service Association of Sheboygan, and they'll provide neighborhood with a valuable resource for financial literacy, education, and other classes promoting financial well-being. The Berkshire Sheboygan project was designed with site-specific context as a guide to architectural massing, form, and materials. The site, located at the northeast corner of Indiana Avenue and South 10th Street, is a key gateway to Sheboygan's downtown business district and also a large vacant development opportunity along the Sheboygan River. The intent of the layout and overall building design is to blend into the existing neighborhood while enhancing the Sheboygan Riverfront as a focal point and destination for the residential and the larger community. So again, the 83-unit senior housing development is in this section along Illinois Avenue and 10th Street, set back from Indiana Avenue. The scale and massing of the building is U-shaped with a courtyard style building with units having either city, lake, or river views in every direction. The senior building consists of 4 stories of stick frame construction. And the four stories of stick frame construction, which is the apartments, and then it's over a precast podium covering the parking, underground parking. So the first floor is all under parking. The site is constrained by poor soils, underground contamination, and a high water table, making the underground parking impractical, so that's why it's on the first story. The parking podium has the benefit of raising the housing units to offer better views of downtown, the river, and Lake Michigan to the east. The ground floor will include their leasing office, mailroom, and primary residential entry. In addition, a small commercial storefront will include the base of the building facing Indiana, and that will be the community serving facility, which is the Family Services of Sheboygan. The project will provide high-quality, affordable, independent senior housing units with a full array of amenities. The General Capital properties, the Berkshire properties, are designed with contemporary flair and promote community with stimulating community spaces, fitness center, Wi-Fi cafe, and other spaces that encourage their residents to stay active and engaged in their surroundings. As a highlight for this community, we have placed their largest gathering space on the top floor, providing residents with river and Lake Michigan views and a space to share rather than giving it to the best space for private living. Property also offers individual storage units for each apartment and heated parking in their underground garage. The townhouses are contained in a single 2-sided building with units facing Indiana Avenue and the interior courtyard. So they're facing Indiana and the courtyard. The building is modeled after many of the other structures across and along the next couple of blocks of the street. The area is a mix of single-family homes and small retail storefronts at the street level, often with a living unit above. Most of the existing retail and living buildings either have a flat roof or a false front, mimicking a 2-story flat roof profile, and the building design is intended to be a modern adaptation of that traditional use, massing, and appearance. In addition, on the Indiana side, there would be 9 second floor decks that help also with the visual interest overlooking the Indiana Avenue streetscape. The townhome style units along Indiana Avenue are sited to take advantage of this gateway and high visible corridor. The 9 units facing Indiana Avenue are designed as live-work units that include a space on the first floor that can be used either as a space showcase for a small business or for an additional bedroom. This unique live-work component offers residents the ability to run their home-based homes from their occupation from their units. The townhomes are not age restricted. With regards to traffic and egress, vehicular egress to and from the parking and service the underground parking will come from both 9th and 10th Street. The 10th Street access will serve as the primary egress to the property. You can see this is the area where the units will access the first floor garage off of that 10 space. The garage to the underground parking is purposely located on the west side of the site to promote traffic to come and go from the west rather than the more congested 9th Street access point. Parking is provided in both surface parking lots and underground parking deck below the senior building. The project contains 55 underground spaces and 63 above ground spaces. There is in terms of dumpster enclosure, the senior building will have trash chutes within the underground collection point, so that will all be within the first floor of the units. The townhomes will have a trash enclosure in this section of the parking lot that is to be constructed for their trash. Proposed signage, there will not be a lot of signage, but there will be a sign on the west side of the Berkshire that addresses that kind of elevation, but also advertises to people coming and going that the Berkshire is in this area, and there might be some internal signage in the area. The applicant is requesting a couple of variances. One is to have a minimum lot area of 977 square feet for 1.9 acres, to have a minimum lot area of 819 square feet for 1.9 acres, and to have a building height of 57 feet, to have 118 parking spaces, and requesting a variance from the locational and landscaping requirements. So staff can answer any questions. The applicant is here. There's a number of neighbors, but staff was recommending approval of the conditional use you have before you this evening.
All right, thanks, Steve. Does the applicant additional comments?
Thanks, Steve, that was a great overview of, I'll call it, the physical side of the project. And what I would just wanted to touch on is maybe a little bit about general capital and about the operation, because I think that's really important to the neighborhood and to you as commissioners. General capital is out of Fox Point. Takes me about 45 minutes to get here, so we're a very local developer. We have projects in Sheboygan Falls, in Grafton, kind of in southeast Wisconsin, so I'm very hands-on. Been with the company for going on 24 years. So basically, we own long-term everything that we develop. So this isn't an out-of-state developer coming in and doing some kind of a prototype. We're actually going to be very hands-on. It's a very site-specific Berkshire that we've done, kind of throughout southeast Wisconsin. As far as our communities are concerned, one of the things we really try to do is engage all the residents early on in the community so that the place is actually an active senior, independent senior type of environment. There are no services provided, so these aren't independent living, I should say assisted living. It's purely independent living. And the type of location that we have here is exactly what we love, which is basically an infill location that's walkable. Where it's an interesting place for seniors to live. We found that seniors don't want to be in cornfields. They actually want to be where the action is. That's a trend in senior housing, and so this is actually a perfect location, and that's exactly why we're doing it here. I want to touch on a couple things which I think are probably a concern, and that is for the neighborhood, some of the feedback that I got and just questions that we had is parking, access and parking. So I want to talk just about those two very specific points. The first is the access, and Steve very correctly pointed out that there are 2 points of access, but we designed this to have our major access off of 10th Street instead of off of 9th. Not that people can't use 9th Street, but I think that our residents are going to be parking in the underground parking. They're going to find that it's easier to go to the 10th Street intersection, and that's basically going to be, I'm willing to bet 99% of the traffic is just going to go to the easiest spot. So we designed that very purposely. We designed the flow of the traffic within the site so that it all kind of geared toward that 10th Street entrance. As far as parking goes, blended together with the underground parking and our surface parking went about 1.17 or close to 1.2 spaces per unit. On our senior projects, we tend to target about 2/3 of the units having underground parking. That's about where we are. And we found that a lot of times seniors that move into these projects and may hang on to vehicles, things like that early on, but overall we found about 2/3 of our residents, kind of compared to other properties, end up having vehicles and want to use that underground parking, so we hit that pretty comfortably. And then a lot of the surface parking will be for our, the townhome residents. And I think that the combination of just basically location, the senior nature of the majority of these units and those townhomes, we kind of, I'll say on the development side, because I mean, to go in with a parking shortage for us would be bad for marketing as well. So we're comfortable in talking to our managers that we're hitting a decent amount of parking that will satisfy this. We're not going to have a parking problem from a marketing perspective. And so, and my third and final point is that, through this process, we've reached out to some of the neighbors. There may be more neighbors. We have more things to hear here. We are very much a hands-on developer. We want to hear concerns, comments, et cetera, and we want to also be good neighbors. And I don't mean to, for that to sound like a cliche or something, but I mean, really, we end up, if there's any complaints ever, we are very close, very local, and we run a tight ship. And so we're looking forward to this. We think it's a great project. We actually are very thankful for the city basically helping us get this over the finish line on a really complicated site with environmental contamination, and all the funding was very difficult on this. So this has taken a lot of effort to get to this point, and we're really kind of grateful to be here and looking forward to getting this under construction this summer. And if there's any questions, I'll say that my civil engineer Terry's here from Sigma, and also Mark from Engberg. They both have done an amazing job kind of with a really complicated site, and so they're here to answer questions as well. And we have some samples from the that we got approved at the ARC Review Board, so instead of taking more time, we're just here to listen and respond with any questions you may have.
All right, cool. I know we got some neighbors in the house. Anyone wishing to speak? Hey, anybody? Come on, Dave, I know you got it. You want to state your name and address, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
David Rapinski, owner of Dave's Who's In Incorporated. Now, when I bought that bar back 30-some years ago, it was listed as industrial, and it's changed through now B2 and whatever you're changing it to now. Always has been an issue with parking. And I used to lease and had first dibs on buying the property north of me where the Pacifico restaurant is. And right now, Pacifico is very good about letting a lot of the bars park there, and even the neighbors. But that is their parking lot. And my guess is he's going to ask you for a variance to allow his 1.7 parking rather than probably, I'm guessing it's supposed to be 2 point something parking per unit. And we're already starved for parking. And you just took 2 more spaces or maybe 3 more spaces off of 9th Avenue or 9th Street. And then years back when you made, just a few years ago, when you made that a park, you took all the street parking off of where Kepsel was on the end of 9th Street going to the river, where a lot of the businesses around me parked. Now you gotta remember, there's 5 bars in my area, and the gas station, which just added a restaurant to it, and they don't have enough parking. So a lot of them like to use Pacifico's parking and my parking. So I think you have to take a little more time to address the parking that's there. And originally in Pacifico, there was a road that was back there. I was told it was Illinois Avenue, and I believe it was Water Street when I remember it. Might have been Franklin for a little bit also, but there was a street in between there that went there where the railroad tracks is. That was an actual road. Now I thought it went behind where the alleyway would be now on, that'd be north of Indiana Avenue between 9th and 10th. And that I think should be looked into, but that was always parking for them, and it's getting squeezed out more and more. And their customers are parking in my parking lot and Pacifico's. But when it comes to wintertime and the neighbors that are there are parking in our parking lots, and everybody else, when you have businesses like ours, you have to get along with your neighbors pretty well, so you allow them to park there. But it gets pretty tough. And at 1.7 per unit, I don't think that's enough. Unless they're supplying other parking in our area, I think that should be addressed.
Thanks, Dave.
Any questions?
Questions for Dave? All right, thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Comments, questions? Going once? Oh. So when I start the going once, going twice, then people come up, right? You want to state your name?
Okay, my name is Kathy Schnurr. I live in town of Sheboygan, 5337 Heatherfield Court. I own the property at 902 Indiana, and I did talk to Sig, and he was very nice, and everything looks really good. So we are getting our parking there, behind the buildings. That's going to be, okay. Because I couldn't hear you. The acoustics are terrible.
Yeah, I apologize. So if you look at the site plan, there's a zigzagging line that maybe Steve can point out right there, and it goes diagonally across the parking lot. There are 10 parking spaces, and that's the property line. Everything to the left is our property. Everything to the right is still city-owned property.
So where the line angles, like that?
Exactly, where the line angles. And then there's
Okay.
10 parking spaces on the north side there. What we're gonna do is we're improving the sides of that access drive with curb and gutter and kind of like, improving the edge of it. And on the north side, we're adding 10 parking spaces that are gonna be public parking spaces.
Okay.
Yes. And so, sorry, I forgot to mention that, but yeah.
Zig, did your property have anything to do with the sidewalk to nowhere?
So the sidewalk to nowhere,
nickname for it.
what we're gonna do with the sidewalk to nowhere is we're gonna kind of make a loop out of it. So that basically we're gonna bring a sidewalk back down to 10th Street, so at least if you walk along it, there's some way to get kind of
So they're not gonna
around.
do any kind of parking there?
At-
You know where the
It's not part
problem's
of our
gonna come in?
moment, yep.
Is when your tenants in that building are gonna have visitors coming. There's gonna be no parking for them. Where are they gonna park? So you're gonna have underground parking, they're usually one car per unit. So you got a husband and wife a car, then you got the friends come, where are they gonna park? There's nowhere in the neighborhood to park.
So, I mean, the area that's in that kind of, I'll call it that loop road area, there's a handful of parking spaces there, including our handicap parking. And our intent is sorry, keep
Follow.
going, yeah, I'll call
So
it the drop-off.
The
Yeah.
green area?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, there's a drop-off. Yeah, right in there. Thank you. There's some angled parking and some handicap parking there. Basically, our idea is that is where we just reserve those for during lease-up. That's our visitor and customer parking, if you want to call it that. And then the rest of the parking, we haven't totally decided whether to do assigned parking. Sometimes it brings out more issues than not. But basically, I guess let's go back to my statement that from our experience, and I totally appreciate the parking issue, we're in business as well,
Right.
But we ran this by our property managers and kind of, looking at our historics, right, on other properties, we feel like this is an adequate amount of parking, and I can't stand here today and promise, that there's not gonna be people parking on the street when they come to visit. I mean, it's, but at the same time, the on-site parking in this situation, we feel is adequate for our use.
But there isn't that much on-street parking in our area anymore.
I was
So-
more referring to the 10th Street.
See, my sister lives at Heather Valley, and they're very limited on parking there. They got their underground, but you got company coming over, there's nowhere to park, so you can't have any visitors. But just,
I appreciate your comment, yeah.
okay, just curious, because there's a lot of business down on Indiana Avenue, and people are gonna be gobbling them up, and they're gonna be parking in all those spaces, just to let you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna be parking in all your tenants' parking spots. It's just what's gonna happen.
Well, I
And
mean, from a
so the police
management
can give
side.
tickets out.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I'm not being argumentative just, or anything like that. But what we're gonna do is on the stuff that's to the west, okay? The non-public parking, we're gonna sign that. And if you sign it, I mean, hypothetically, we can start to tow if people are parking there, which is our resident parking. But the 10 parking spaces that are on the city side, the city piece right there, those will be signed as public parking, and the city can put whatever restrictions they want on that. But I mean, in all fairness to us as a developer, like, we're gonna wanna sign and make sure that our stuff, that people aren't parking in our parking,
Right. But I know what it's like building in a congested area. It's just good, I just think there's gonna be a lot of problems with the parking. Because so many people down there are used to just grabbing a spot, and I don't know how you're gonna handle that. But those 10 parking spots are at least public parking.
Yes, the 10 parking spots are public,
Okay.
yes.
Alrighty.
All right. Anybody, Ryan?
Are you done with the public?
Oh, no, anyone else wishing to speak?
I would like to add,
Yeah, sure, come on, Dave.
I don't want to stop any project from going forward, and I really agree with this, but you guys have to address parking. In the past, you've said that you would address parking with our area, and it's kind of always gotten put to the side. In fact, I remember when you put in 9th Street there, you used our alleyways to run those big trucks through, and you broke them all in half. I'm thinking from east to west, I'm kind of guessing at this, but up to 10th Street or to 11th Street for sure, and those never got replaced. On my end of the street, we fought for a parking lot on the end of 8th and Indiana Avenue there. That's the city parking lot, and thank you very much. It's just that it's way on the other end of the problem where this is going to create here. And there's already a problem. I think it's going to be more of a problem. And I mean, you can take more of those buildings and make a parking lot there and figure something out later. But I got to say, I disagree with the variance if this company asks for a variance until the rest of that parking is addressed. Any questions?
Questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Anyone else wishing to speak? Going one, oh, Kim? Well, anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Okay, now the commissioners are going to talk. Kim,
Okay.
go for it.
I have a question about the contaminated soil. Knowing that the whole river through that section at one time had been a Superfund site and there had been huge efforts to get that cleaned up, let's say that you start to dig in and problems are bigger and deeper than you ever imagined.
Right.
What kind of a plan goes from there, or what happens at that point?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. So on the front end, we've done testing, drilling, everything else to kind of analyze what the situation is. Our consultants have looked at what we call the cut and fill analysis, how much dirt has to come out to build the foundations, things like that. And then we also now have worked with the DNR for a plan, and they're basically in the last, I'm hoping that this next couple of weeks we can actually approve our plan, but they're going to look at how we're replacing the soil where we need to, and a cap on any areas what they consider, human contact risk areas. So all the open space is going to have a 2-foot layer of clean soil, and then basically a geotextile kind of a protective layer. So if somebody digs there 20 years from now, and inadvertently they're going to say like, whoa, what is this? And there's warning kind of stuff there. So the 3 strategies are basically anything that's coming off the site has to go to a landfill because it's hot. The second strategy is basically lifting the building so we don't have to excavate as much. And the third is capping and covering with both the building and on the landscaping. And all those estimates are based on, it's actually the civil, Terry's with the civil side of Sigma, but Sigma Engineering is also our environmental folks. And we've been working with them and the DNR to kind of assess and make sure that, that we're doing it, correctly, and that we've got ourselves covered. The last piece of that whole puzzle is the poor soils. As a result of all this fill over the years and the Superfund stuff, you can't build regular foundations here. So we have something like $600,000+ of special foundations that have to go in to hold up the building. So between all of that, you have contingency on the overall all of that, but we have a plan in place that's been approved, and that's been kind of hatched by the experts, so to speak. I'm not one of those experts, but we're trying to just do the best I can to kind of assess it, address it, and make sure that we can build on the site, which is very complicated.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kim. Ryan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to address the parking concern of Kathy and Dave. One thing the city can look at down the road, once this is developed and everything is up and running, is possibly eliminating some of the south end of the plaza area and creating that into parking. I know, Steve, can you somehow show that a little bit? Removing the south end of the walking path or of the plaza area and extending the parking in that area where Steve's mouse is. Actually, removing some of that promenade and adding parking in there. That's something we can look at, but I'd like to wait and see once the development is up and running and just see if additional parking is needed. But that's something that the city owns that property, they have control over it, so that's a way we could add some additional parking. So I just want to address that for Dave and Kathy.
In the walkway?
In the walkway area, yes, we could eliminate the south end of it.
Well, you know why there should be parking? Is back in '07, they took it away in '05. We weren't given any notice on that, at least I wasn't, I'm on the corner. So they turned it into a sidewalk, giving all the grandiose old ideas what they were gonna do with the city, right? Oh, grandiose, and then they shut down they put no parking signs on 9th Street. Well, I had to make them take them down because they said, we abandoned Commerce Street from Virginia all the way to Indiana. I had to take the guy outside and show him the sign that said 9th Street. I said Commerce Street used to go from Virginia in front of the Highland House and exit out on 8th Street. So then I get a bunch of developers all mad at me because I had to tell them what was going on because they didn't know. So then they go to take away more parking. So now we're putting 101 units in, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. I think that's what Sheboygan needs. But you can't forget about the people who are already here. People who have investments in their properties. So I say we give them that, they give us our parking back, at least on 9th Street, right? And I think everybody could be pretty happy. Because everybody's values are gonna go up in the neighborhood. We'll have some place for our people to park. The police officers won't have to be driving up and down the alley giving out tickets for parking in private property. And I think it's a win-win situation.
All right, thank you. Other questions from commission members? Motions from commission members?
I'll make a motion to approve along with the staff recommendations.
Motion second, final thoughts? Seeing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Motion's approved. Thank you. Next, item number 6, application for conditional use permit with exceptions by Kara Autumn to construct 2 single-family dwelling units at the northwest intersection of North 8th Street and Huron Avenue. Steve?
All right, give me 1 second here, Mayor. All right, thanks. So Kara Autumn is here, and I believe her builder, and I don't know if there's neighbors here or other people that are here for this item. But what we're taking a look at is we're taking a look at the property at North 8th Street and Huron Avenue. And I believe at one time, this property may have been a service station. And so the property has some contamination on it, and that contamination is pretty much, if you can see the site plan, kind of in this corner of 8th and Huron Avenue. So the property has sat for many years with nothing happening to it. Kara purchased the property, and her vision is to have the opportunity to hopefully build 2 new homes on this property. And so what we're taking a look at is this would be an infill project in this neighborhood that would provide housing for Kara as well as for others. And additionally, it would improve a brownfield by permanently capping the area of contamination in the driveway area. So that would be this area in here. What we're looking at is basically 2 lots, and the red line is approximately where the lots would be divided. So there's a north lot and then a south lot. And I'm sorry, not the red lot. The red line is the existing property line. We're looking to move that north 12 feet, and that would give additional space for the south lot as well as having enough area in that north lot. We've talked about on numerous occasions the aspect of trying to do infill in different areas, and there's going to be a number of variances that we'll talk about. But I think some of the keys to this are the fact that we're looking at homes that are well designed. This would be, say, for example, a design of the property on the south lot that would face 8th Street. And then this is a design that would be looked at on the north lot that faces 8th Street, but also faces Huron Avenue. The southern lot would be approximately about an 1,800 square foot single family home with attached garage. So you can see kind of the home, you can see the attached garage, you can see it's an odd lot here with a shed in the back. Then the coach house, which is on the north lot, is proposed to be about 1,030 square feet and is on a lot that's approximately 4,480 square feet. There's a large driveway area on that north lot. And again, the reason being is that is the area that where the contamination is, that the driveway would be used to cap that contamination. And the DNR is acceptable with that development as proposed. In order to develop the properties the way they are, a certified survey map would have to be submitted that would change that red line to this north line, so that change would have that 12 feet. And that the lots as proposed with the setbacks and the houses and things like that would have to be developed in a manner that that certified survey map would come in. So before the applicant submitted the certified survey map, they wanted to make sure that the Plan Commission was willing to approve the variances and things like that, and then would take the time to create the certified survey map and create the lots, and then would have the opportunity to construct the homes as presented. So on the north lot, we're taking, there's a couple of variances. One is to have a 4,400 square foot home. The minimum lot width is 6,000 square feet. Requesting to have a home that's 56 feet wide. The minimum is typically 70 for a corner lot. They're requesting to have a 10-foot setback from Huron Avenue, which is similar to the home directly to the west of it. Requesting to have a rear yard setback of 7 feet because the home will be facing Huron Avenue. There would be a paved surface setback of 0 where they would share some paving in this area. And then requesting to have a footprint for a home that is 27 by 39. And the minimum house is 25 by 40, so it's just a foot off. On the southern lot, we're looking to create a lot that is 5,000 square feet, where the minimum's 6,000. Requesting to have 46-foot wide lot. Looking to have a 10-foot setback to the street. As you can see, that's very similar to the existing residence to the south. So both those setbacks are for the homes are right in line with the other homes in that area who also don't meet that requirement. Looking to have an 8-foot setback, and that's just for this section. If we were to take it over here, obviously that's 40 feet and they would be meeting that. But in this little section over here, that rear yard is 8 feet. And then to have a house that is approximately 21 by 60. The applicant believes that the proposed configuration as far as the lots, the site plan, and the exceptions are justified because the homes fit well in terms of the building or in terms of the design and those setbacks and fit well with the others in the area. And this would allow the applicant to develop the land into desirable housing based on the challenges regarding the contamination and the size of the lot. So it really gives an opportunity to develop the lot into something nice instead of the vacant, broken kind of land that we've seen. And we've had a number of times we've discussed about trying to create housing opportunities, and this is a very visible area on a street that's vacant and somewhat unsightly, and there's the possibility of creating some housing and with such a design that could make this intersection much more desirable. So staff was recommending approval of the conditional use and variances that you have before you. Sorry for the long-winded discussion, but there were numerous variances and things
I
like
was
that
at
to try.
Steve, you had me at infill project.
Right,
so,
right.
yeah.
So the applicants are here, there's neighbors here, and staff was recommending approval.
Applicant have any additional comments, questions, input?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kara Adam, and I'm here with my builder, Mike Howe. Hello. So I moved here 4 years ago for a job in Manitowoc, and I fell in love with the area. but it's been a challenge to find housing. So I bought this a year ago this month, and I've worked with Fair Graham with the DNR issues, and the DNR has approved everything to move forward. And I've met with a number of neighbors who have, there's nobody that has disagreed with the project, so there's been, positivity with that. So I just need your approval to move forward.
Thank you guys for having us. Mike Howe, Builders, Manitowoc, and I do land development as well and infield projects in the city of Manitowoc. So, and I served 7 years on city council, so I know what it's like to go through these motions to put everything in place.
Manitowoc?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know my buddy then.
Oh, yeah. So,
Hi, boss.
So this is a great example of how working with the staff at the city and the homeowner to bring in these nice projects to show what's possible in downtown development. And I think we complement it well. We still meet all the UDC codes and everything that we need to for setbacks and fire suppression, stuff like that. So we're in good shape that way. And it takes an abandoned site and cleans it up really nice. So, and then just one other thing that you guys might see coming up is I'm also the state president of Wisconsin Builders Association, and we are currently drafting a bill to bring in with WIDA and the state of Wisconsin to reduce setbacks in yards to get more housing done and more affordable. So this is a great project. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
Any neighbors and any comment from neighbors? If you could just state your name
Hi.
and address.
Hi, my name is Toril Fisher, and my husband Drew Fisher, who's going to be shy today, from 1314 North 8th Street. 4 years ago, pretty much today, we came forward with our conditional use permit. We purchased the Church of God, which is just south of the existing property. That's right next door. Yep, there's Toril Fisher Fine Art. So we've been looking at that cement-filled lot for 4 years, and that's where all the leaves blow and all the garbage blows. And we're just very excited to have something useful and beautiful and a kind neighbor to boot. Additionally, with the 2 homes that will go in that will help address, at least on putting a pebble in the water of addressing the need for additional housing in our area. So we highly support having Kara as our neighbor, and we hope she really likes church bells because she's going to hear them. So thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? All right, questions from commission members? I'll just throw in my 2 cents. This is definitely a lot that's been empty for a while, and it's always good to see folks making investments, especially building more homes right here in the community, so.
Make a motion to approve subject to recommendations.
Moved and second. Any questions? All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any objection? That's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 7, application for conditional use and sign permit with exceptions by RLO Sign to install new electronic reader board monument sign at the new BP service station located at 1441 North 26th Street. Steve, take it away.
All right, Patrick Malance is here from RLO, representing the owner of the station we've previously approved at North 26 and Superior. The station is getting to the point in time where it's, the building's up, the canopy's up, they gotta do some site improvements, but they're looking at the monument sign. Couple things that they've done is they've included a stone base that mimics some of the stone on the base of the building. They've added a decorative cap that kind of mimics the cap of the building. So they've tried to do some things in terms of blending the sign in with the building, and being that the kind of mixed residential neighborhood, and they're meeting the required setbacks, so staff was recommending approval of the sign before you today.
Cool. Anything else?
I think Steve got it.
All right.
We like it when people say Steve got it, right?
Yeah.
Comments
Yeah,
from
yeah.
commission members? Trey?
Just one quick question from my end. Looking at the map, it looks like there's residential properties right across Superior from this site. Is that correct? Do we have any concerns about the light from the sign affecting the properties that are across the street?
I can address that. My name is Patrick with RLO Sign. Yes, actually, the residential area will not be able to see it. So it is directly perpendicular with Superior. So from either side, it's going to be the gas station or the bar and grill to the west. So anything on the north side will not be able to see it.
Perfect, thank you.
So, can I address that too, Mayor?
Yeah, of course.
So you're right, that was one of the concerns, was the residential neighborhood on the north side of Superior Avenue. So this is, the property, before it was being developed. So you have the Superior, Grill and Tap in this area. And so the sign is gonna be facing north and west. So you'll see it east and west as you travel on Superior. Is it something that the houses could potentially see a portion of that electronic reader board? Yes. I mean, they're gonna see some of it, but it's designed in a way that it's not facing the neighborhood. And the electronic reader board portion of the sign, I think is what, about 5-6 square feet? I mean,
It's
so
just
it's only
over 5.
this section right here. So I mean, obviously the sign itself has the pricers and the logo, but the actual message center is a relatively small part of that sign as well.
Thank you. No concerns at all from my end then.
Okay. Anyone else? Motions on your end?
I would move to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Moved and seconded. Final thoughts? Seeing none. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any objection? That's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, RO number 1282223 by city clerk submitting an application by Jack Vanderwall for a change in zoning classification for property on Pershing Avenue, parcel number 592810122240 from suburban residential R3 to suburban residential SR5 classification. Steve?
All right, thanks, Mayor. Just need to get, so Mr. Vanderweel is here. And so what we're taking a look at is, give me 1 second, I'm sorry, I gotta just get to this real quick. So this is along Pershing and North 8th Streets and North 7th. It's a residential, single-family neighborhood. Presently, I'll just kind of do an aerial to kind of get a little bit of a feel for where we're at. So that lot is this green space right here. So a lot of the properties on 7th Street are zoned what are referred to as SR3, which is about a 10,000 square foot lot size. All of the properties on Pershing and 8th Street are zoned SR5, which is about a 6,000 square foot lot. And so the reason, and I'm sure Mr. Vanderweel can speak to this a little bit, but basically looking to build, to sell the home and for someone to build a lot. And what happens is, thank you. Is this just the, yeah, okay. So,
Okay.
So right now, the lot is 60 by, the lot is 60 feet wide. And in the SR3 zone, the minimum lot size is 70 feet. And the minimum setback is 35 feet and has to have 25-foot setbacks on the sides. In the SR5, so the lot as it sits right now is non-conforming. So if anyone wants to, have me be quiet and you're good, let me know. You're good? But basically, what we're looking to do is construct a single-family home on a lot. He needs to have the zoning changed so that he can build basically a single-family ranch with attached garage, correct? That fits more in the neighborhood compared to the 2 stories that aren't as prevalent in the neighborhood. Are there some there? Yes, but staff was recommending approval of the change because it will remain a single-family lot.
Jack, anything else, or commission members?
I gave you a little bit of a handout. I think historically, this lot was, historically in our 1 or an R zoning back in the day. And I think Mr. Minster was an architect and he bought 3 lots to build his house on. And I think over time, they didn't combine all 3 lots, but because he owned all 3, they switched this one to an SR3 to go with the other 2 that he had. And then they sold this off after he passed away, so I would like to convert it back to the way it was as an SR5 so that I could actually fit a house on it.
Cool. Questions from commission members?
Make a motion to approve subject to recommendations.
A second. Moved and seconded. Any other deliberations?
You gonna put a pool in like the guy up the street there, Jeff?
I can't.
Are you gonna put a pool in like the guy up the street?
I still can't hear you.
He said you're gonna put a pool in.
A pool? Like the guy up the street. I saw it on the overhead.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? That's approved. Next, general ordinance number 302223 by Alderperson Flicky Pineski, amending the City of Sheboygan zoning, official zoning map of the city zoning ordinance to change the use district classification for property on Pershing Avenue, parcel number 59281012240 from suburban residential to suburban, from SR3 to SR5 classification.
So moved.
Moved? Seconded? Additional comments? Seeing none? All those in favor, state aye. Aye. Any objection? That item is approved as well. All right, we're good to go. There you go. Chad, anything? All right, next meeting, April 25th.
Move to adjourn.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, state aye. Aye. Any objection? We're adjourned at 4:51. Thanks, everybody.
Sorry about that.